But I'm protecting the line, Brandon. I mean, he's go to the back of the line.
Integrity has to stand somewhere.
Somebody has to care, right? And apparently, I'm the only person who cares because
the Fat Jack.
Yeah, exactly.
The only one who cares.
I'm protecting, holding the line. That's a new shirt or slogan. The Fat Jack, the only one that cares.
That cares.
Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. The weekend is here. It's the start of the NFL season. We won again last week. Had a very good week one of the college football season. Now it's time to turn the page a little bit, but also continue the profit, not only in the NCAA football, but in the NFL, but in soccer and in UFC that's had an incredible month or so. So great time to get signed up at FatJackSports.com. Even a better time to bring on my co-host from Louisville, Kentucky, so we can get you guys ready to make some money this weekend as we start the NFL season. From Louisville, Kentucky, Mr. Brandon Rush. Brandon, how are you, buddy?
This is the weekend that I think everybody has been waiting the last 205 days or whatever long it's been since the Super Bowl to really feel like we're fully back. You know, when training camp's open, you're like, oh, you start getting the buzz. But a lot of people don't get excited about preseason football. And then there's a lot of people who don't necessarily care about college football that much. Once the NFL kicks off, once those 8 games at 1 o'clock Eastern on Sunday get the ball in the air, that's when it finally feels like it's football season. And for a lot of people, this is a huge weekend.
Yeah, for now, between now and the Super Bowl, it's literally something all the time. If you're a sports fan, if you're betting on the games and stuff, and if you're doing it the right way and winning, you've already been building profit. You're going to be building profit this weekend, and so this really is the best time of the year because you're not having to worry about playing catch up and about you're just able to focus on making money, building profit, which is great for you, great for everybody around you, and then enjoying the games. And as you said, we're going to have games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then soon we're going to have it all week long. So a lot going on. We turn into football season every year, and it's a great time of year. For a lot of people out there, week one of college football was kind of a precursor. And Brandon, if they listen to this show, I've been talking about this not only this year, but the end of last year into February, March during this show, that the days of play your favorite team, think college football playoffs last year, play your favorite team, they're going to cover, they're going to win, your balance is going to go up. They are not going – that is not the way things are done. And for so many new people that are betting on sports right now, that's all they knew. If you started last year and you saw that, you think, this isn't tough. Even if you didn't break the bank, you're thinking this is pretty easy stuff.
I profited last year. Why you didn't make money last year? What are you doing?
Yeah, and we did make money, but you're thinking, okay, I watch sports, I have cable, I have ESPN, I have all the apps, I can turn on the TV and see who's the better team, and that they rewarded with that. So the problem is, Brandon, having done this for 30 years, and by the way, there's people out there selling picks on TikTok and different places that they've been doing this for 15 minutes, and they believe also that it's as simple as looking at who's the better team, Alabama or Florida State. We're going to play Alabama, of course, because why wouldn't you? That's not how this works. And I've been screaming it from the rooftops to the point I sound like a wet blanket or somebody that's resentful for the way things happened last year. And that's not accurate. It's just important that people know, because what happened this last week in week one for most people is more indicative of what's going to happen going forward. You're going to have more games than not. In the NFL, it's a totally different beast, and it's even more that way.
And it's by design, too. You look at the games this weekend. I mean, you got divisional matchups. You got premier teams against premier teams, and they are banking on the fact that you think you know what you're doing.
Yeah, the sports books, it's not a difficult job for them in the NFL because you find the teams that have the best success over recent years on the front of their jerseys, and that's who you're going to bet on, and see how it goes. That is not a winning – it's not only not a winning formula, it is a losing formula, and it's the way that by the time we get to Halloween or before, for most of you, you're not going to be betting. FatJackSports.com, the opposite side of the coin, you get to kind of line up with what the house is, what the sports books are actually doing, which is collecting money. And the way that I'm doing it, not all the time, but we're looking at the public plays, and we understand that that's not necessarily the way to go. Sometimes we play against those plays. Sometimes we don't. When you play against them, it's not because, Joe Schmo likes Alabama, so we're going to like Florida State. It's so many more things than that. But sometimes the fact that Alabama this last week was the most bet team in the country, it creates value with the underdog. So, it was about what Florida State's improvement was. The fact they had 33 new players come in through the portal. Some of those were good. Coach has got a little stability right now after a couple of bad years. The quarterback was going to be a good player. We knew that he'd give some trouble to Alabama. There were reasons why, but part of it started with the fact that every single guy out there was going to go line up and play Alabama minus 14 points. And, oh, by the way, Vegas they told us this is not the best idea in the world because they didn't really move the number. It was 13 and a half. It moved to 2 touchdowns. And every time it did, somebody like myself hammered the other side and played Florida State at that key number of 14. Only one example, the most bet games of the week last week, Texas. If you had these plays, listen to this list and then go to fatjacksports.com. Do not wait a second. Because not only are you down now, you're going to be down more after, if not this week, the next week, if not the next week. You're going to lose money long term if this is the way you look at football games. If you had Texas, if you had Alabama, if you had Notre Dame, if you had Clemson, Indiana, those teams were the most bet teams in the country. They were public plays. They really weren't even close. Texas was never ahead. Notre Dame never ahead. Clemson, it was clear early in those games who the right side was and who wasn't. And it wasn't just them. I went to the Utah-UCLA game. The elite guys at fatjacksports.com. Were you able to bet the end game, Brandon?
Oh yeah, I got the one of the great things about living in a state where sports betting is legal, especially with the apps. Live betting is I can bet pitch to pitch on baseball games. So yeah, live betting for football is not an issue.
So I'm sitting in the Rose Bowl, and by the way, let me do this. FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today. We haven't even talked about soccer profit. We haven't even talked about the UFC that hasn't lost in a month. It was 4-0 last time out. Add those plays now. You can get everything through September. If you look at the price, you're like, gosh, that's a little bit high to go through the Super Bowl. If you don't even blink on that price, it's the best deal through the Super Bowl. Get all the plays through the Super Bowl or through the NBA Finals. It breaks down to less than a couple $100 a week, and you're getting everything from NFL player props, which are starting this week. So if you're in the daily fantasy world or you're in a state that only has that, you're able to get a package just for that. But if you're playing everything, NFL player props, you're getting college football, obviously, NFL, soccer, UFC, the horse racing when it comes up, free baseball, all that's included for less than a couple $100 a week through the Super Bowl or through the NBA Finals of this next year. But if you even blink at that, consider for the month of September getting one of the 2 packages that get you everything either through September or the better deal will be through 1 month. Get one of those because the profit we make in those other packages is enormous. It really is. It a lot of times more than we would make in football. So because there's just a high volume of plays, you bet less on them, but they generate a lot of profit. Just in the NFL player prop stuff, we give 10 to 20 a week, sometimes more. But you're going to get 10 to 20 of those plays a week in the NFL on a Thursday or on a Sunday. You're going to get a bunch of NFL player props, and those player props cost very, very little, and they win 5 out of every 6 weeks on average through the year. So fatjacksports.com. But I was saying about I was at the Rose Bowl, Utah-UCLA, and good seats still remaining. And literally after the first drive, I could tell exactly what was going to happen. I had to call Runner in Vegas because I'm in California. They're as dumb as Oklahoma. You can't bet on sports. Call Runner, get them on the deal, get them all that, it was later, it was late. The game started at 8. But it was evident exactly what was going to happen. Neither of those teams could stop anybody. Both offensive lines were winning the line of scrimmage, and Utah was winning the line of scrimmage a lot more, especially on pass blocking, than was UCLA. That told me exactly what I need to know. So immediately we have a package called the Elite Package. It's more money because it gets stuff like this, and it gets a lot of extra plays. I immediately text, and it's in-game type stuff or halftime stuff. So I text out, play Utah, play over. This is an easy win. Wish I had released it before the game started to everybody, obviously, but it's week 1. So you can't go crazy in week 1, Brandon. I'm not going crazy in week 1. I'm trying to build profit week 1, which is exactly what we did.
Yep.
But 2 extra units there. So everybody's up. If you're with the Fat Jack and you're with me, unless you are one of those guys that just cannot, your instincts are to lose. and you play the top pick of the day one day. It lost. I guess Sunday it lost. We didn't have a release on Sunday in football because there was one or just a couple games. Didn't have a good idea. We're deep into profit on the week. But if you signed up for just the top pick on Sunday, you didn't win. If you did it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you won. All the top picks of those other days won. But you signed up just on Sunday, you didn't win. But everybody's up in football. Everybody's up on the year in the other sports. UFC, which costs less than $20 a week, 4-0 last time out, has made 3 or 4 games of profit every single week over the last 6 or 7 weeks. Great time to get signed up. FatJackSports.com. Brandon, what jumped out at you this last week in week 1, and what did you take away?
You look at what the rankings for teams are going into the year, like when we're talking coaches poll, AP poll, and you begin to, I think the sooner people realize that the only reason rankings exist is to promote games, so they get bigger ratings, because if it's number 1 versus number 3, you're going to be more excited to watch that than you are to watch Ohio State, Texas. So rankings exist only to drive ratings, drive clicks, and really to get dumb people to bet on games they normally probably wouldn't. And I think nothing was more evident than that we saw this week. We saw Boise State, a team who was in the playoff a year ago, go on the road and lay an absolute egg as a ranked team. You saw Alabama, a very highly ranked team. Texas didn't do anything offensively. There was a number of teams who were ranked who probably shouldn't be, but because we're just going off, or they're going off, what they did last year. It's the blind leading the blind sometimes, because people will just blindly follow what they're being told is important, or who's being told is good.
And Brandon, that's all I said for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The turnover on rosters, NIL.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to me, any market around the country or on this show for literally 2 weeks, the preseason week show, week 1, all I talked about was turnover roster. Nobody knows. Sports books don't know. And if you listen to that, the very minimum, hopefully you just didn't bet a lot, because. And I talked about name on the front of the jersey versus names on the back of the jerseys. They're setting lines based on the name on the front. The names on the back are what's getting it done. And this is not, we're not immune to the lower. Used to be a lot of transfers, a lot of stuff in the lower, teams, the teams in the MAC, the teams in the Conference USA. Now everybody. Alabama has turnover. Texas has some turnover. Ohio State, they're throwing so much money at these kids that everybody's got a lot of new parts. And when you have new parts, you don't know. And not only do you not know, the sports books don't know. So you're right. The rankings are nothing. What they are is a way for Vegas to generate more money. They're not in charge of the rankings, but it helps Vegas generate more money. You put more money on Alabama over Florida State based on what happened last year, based on the rankings. And all those type of things are going to cost you money if you're looking at it like a fan instead of somebody who knows how to get to profit in these early week games. NFL is not going to be any easier. A lot of people saw a lot of things going on in the preseason. They're going to say that, that works. Some of that works, some of that doesn't work. Some of that is indicative of what will happen. Some of it is not. So go to FatJackSports.com and get signed up. I tell you what I took away. There were a couple teams that were better than I thought they'd be. And I'll tell you, there's one really sad person, I think, too. Tennessee looked better than I thought they were going to. I kind of had a hunch that they had a lot of roster turnover. I felt like Josh Heupel was going to have a little bit of a problem adjusting to the new landscape of college football. He's a coach's son, all those type of things. And the quarterback, losing their quarterback to UCLA and having to instill anybody into that role was going to take a little bit of time. I thought they looked pretty good. I don't think Syracuse is horrible. So,
no.
And by the way, I talked all week. That was not a game I was going to touch, no matter what. There was no world I was going to play Syracuse, Tennessee. And so I all week went on the country. As soon as I saw that matchup, I thought, new quarterback, new stuff. Don't like Heupel, but don't trust Syracuse. So I moved on, didn't pay a lot of attention. So all week long when I was asked about that game, Brandon, all week, from the show to every market, I talked one of the key points, which didn't matter because I didn't care about the game, was northern teams playing in the South and humidity and heat and all those things. Finally, somebody reached out and said, hey, jackass, that game's in Atlanta and it's indoors.
Still, I mean, it's more humid probably indoors than it is in Syracuse.
Yeah, but it just makes me
Your
sound
point's not
foolish.
missed.
I mean, my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just I wasn't going to play it. I mean, they've got AC in there. There's
Right.
ductwork system in the Atlanta Dome or whatever that's called. The
Mercedes-Benz
Mercedes
Stadium, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but I like Tennessee, what they look like, what they did, and how they did it. I feel a little bit sorry, but it is a lesson. I think that all programs should run in the offseason or the preseason the story, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but the story of the quarterback at UCLA who was making $2 million a year at Tennessee, 2.1 actually, held out, took the pro route, got some horrible advice from somebody. He's in the SEC playing in front of capacity crowd, screaming, yelling fans, 2.1 million. Might have been a front runner for the Heisman if things go well.
Sure.
You don't know. I mean, they're in that conversation if their team plays what Tennessee plays well and their quarterback plays well, might have been up for the Heisman. All of the things that go with that. He gets bad advice. He not only asked for more money, wanted $4 million from Tennessee to play quarterback there. He decided they had practiced, and he said, "No, I'm not going to go to practice. I'm going to hold out."
Yeah, it was like right before the spring game. He was there's when I guess that was the time to try and leverage his stock, I guess.
It does. It's not in the NFL. It's not the worst idea in the world. It happens. Everybody does it in these other sports. And if somebody told him, you know what, let's do that. Let's hold out. And so he holds out. Josh Heupel looks and just laughs and says, "There's the door. We're not giving you $4 million." And so this kind of became a case study, at least in this world of college, this change that everybody's going through with how we handle things. This was kind of a case study. We got a guy that thinks he's worth more. He's holding out for double the money. He's not going to go to practice. Heupel shows him the door. He does land at a university. Obviously, the kid's talented.
Got a bag. Yep.
Got a much smaller bag, $1.2 million. So he takes an $800,000 pay cut. By the way, I know what
40% pay cut, and that doesn't go as far in LA as it does in Knoxville.
I was going to say, I know what rent is in LA or Westchester versus what it is in Knoxville.
Right.
Not going as far. Taxes are higher. All those things. So he loses, I promise you, half his money. So instead of going double up, he gets half. Not even a huge thing. He now is playing on a team, Brandon, that I could lay down in a row. I mean, the stadium now, the school's not in session yet, UCLA. So
sure,
let's give it a little bit of an asterisk. But I could lay down in a row. We got club level seats, free food, free drink, front row. It's a 8 p.m. game. I really like those because my day's over. There's like one or two games left. I can go get my eyes on some people. So when I was in Vegas, I would fly out here to do some of that for the evening. So I bet my stuff Saturday, fly out here Saturday night, watch a game, then fly back Sunday morning, be back ready to go for the NFL. But now I'm spending more time out here. So all of that under $100 a piece. I mean, the club level's nothing. More Utah fans than there were UCLA. So this kid who had the world in his hand is now playing for half the money on a team that can't protect him, is going to win half their games. Who knows what happens? So it should be a lesson. And I'm not saying that the schools. I'm not for. Sometimes I think I come across like NIL is bad, and I'm for what it was. What it used
You're
to
for
be.
the establishment. Yeah, that's definitely not the case. We want people to get their money.
I want them to get their money, but I want it to be more equitable. And we'll talk about this later in the year when we have more time because we've got to get people signed up. We have the NFL card coming up. We've got so much to get to. But I'm for it being more equitable across the board. I think the right guard or a backup quarterback needs to make a lot more than they're making. And the quarterbacks, especially in the cases where they're freshmen coming in, Jackson Arnold these guys making $1 million. There needs to be a salary cap on that kind of stuff. They do not. I don't know how you do that because it's the Wild West.
Yeah, how do you cap a free market, right?
Yeah, there has to be some regulations. And it's not just for the schools trying to allocate NIL money. It's for the other players on the team that may be All-Americans and produce for your team, and you should want that as a fan also. You should want all the players to have an opportunity, at least until they perform and they show what they are. Structure is not a horrible thing in this world. It may be hard to get the genie back in the bottle, so to speak, but I mean, that's where I believe it should go. Anyway, FatJackSports.com. Great time to get signed up. We won in week 0, won in week 1. We had, and we're going to take a break and get the NFL and week 2 of college football. We had Our winner, South Florida Army over UNLV. Auburn 3-0 sweeper on Friday, set up a great week and had Texas under at Florida State. So some of the games I talked about, we had the opposite of those. Some of them we had none of that. But you'll notice you did not see anywhere on there public play teams. And of the Texas, Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Indiana, which were the most bet teams of the week, we had 0 of those. We had a bad beat and a couple of bad picks. That was our week. So we made 3 or 4 units in football on a week 1 where there's no NFL.
I'll take it.
Penn State was a bad beat. They give up a meaningless score. They're up 43 or whatever. They had quit. They basically run the ball in the line of scrimmage, give the ball back to Nevada. Nevada's acting like they're playing for the Super Bowl with 2 minutes to go. The guy, no huddle down the field, and they don't guard this guy that's 5'4", and he runs to the back of the end zone, scores, and does nothing more than cover the numbers and the total over. We had the side on that. Bad beat there. Had Nebraska, that was a bad pick, I would say. I don't love them. And we had one more bad pick. Kansas State. Bad pick. So Kansas State, bad pick. Lots of good picks. Profit on the week. FatJackSports.com. Get signed up. Less than $100 a week. Gonna take a break. Come back. Talk about college football and the NFL. Gonna be a huge segment. So college football week 2. NFL, get you ready for that. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Fat Jack Sports Hour.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.
Before the ball is tipped or a shot is even taken, before the crowd explodes or history is made. If you're going to bet, have a game plan. Bet legally, set limits, and keep it fun. When gambling becomes a problem, visit responsibleplay.org to find help.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and now here is our host, ready to kick off the NFL season. Action every Sunday until February. He's the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 2. Gosh, so much going on. We're not going to talk a ton about the soccer or about the UFC or about the NFL player props, but before we get too much further into it, if you want to make more money, get those picks. They cost less than $20 a week, guys. When you add them to your package, they're less than $20 a week. They are going to produce a ton of profit. And you're definitely going to make more than $20 a week, even if you're playing $20 a unit. If you're playing 20 a game, you're going to make that on that group. You would make more than $100 a week on average, and it would cost you $60 just for those if you add them to your other packages. So now is the time. Those get more expensive simply because you lose weeks going forward. So go to FatJackSports.com. I encourage you to get one of those all-inclusive packages. It gets all the sports. Even if you're not a guy that ever plays or cares about soccer or stays up or rents the pay-per-view in the UFC, doesn't matter. Get them now. You're going to make more. Also, basketball's included in that package. When you sign up all the way through, that's also included. You're not paying more for that. So now is the time. Those prices will be higher later. NFL season starts this week, Brandon. What are your thoughts? And, you were talking about off the air, the contests, and different contests.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, before we turn the page on college a little bit, which we're going to come back to, I am in the Westgate Superbook has a new college contest.
Yes.
For picks. It's 7 picks a week.
Whew. Whereas the NFL contest is a 5-pick thing.
5 picks. So it's 7 picks a week through the entire year. It was a little less money to enter. I'm either in first place or in second place because I was 6-1. So I'm sure somebody went 7-0 in the whole group.
Sure. There's always any random week, some random person will go 7-0, and then we'll turn around the next week and be 1-6.
Yeah, there's a volume of people, but I was 6-1, and that is one of the frustrating things about this job, Brandon, is that I had 7 picks. I mean, people who are clients can do the math. I had all college football games.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play Nebraska in that because I didn't love that spot. My loss was Penn State, and which, by the way, should have won. But the difference is I liked a couple other early that then I kind of got off of because you have to turn that in by Thursday. So I turned my list in, and then I get off a couple. I got off Utah. I was on Utah's in the contest. Got off them. I forget the other team, and I got on Syracuse for us, So I got off. I got on Texas, Kansas State. I got on Kansas State for us, and got off another winner. Oh, Ohio State. I got off Ohio State, so I didn't release Ohio State because we had the total. We had the total under. The contest gets Ohio State. Clients get Kansas State because I move my power ranking basically before I send the picks out, and we ended up losing 2 games when the contest only. So I'm 6-1 on that. What are your thoughts? You were talking about Survivor. You got a Survivor pool or Survivor contest. How do you approach that?
Yeah, it's a big week because with super contest entries across the country and then Survivor pools, everybody's feels like a lot of people that are in this circle are in those. In Survivor this week, I'm avoiding teams who generally are starting much like you talked about that aren't going to win the Super Bowl. New head coach, new quarterback. I try to stick at least the first few weeks, stick with teams that have some stability, but are teams that I'm not going to use later in the year. I kind of reverse engineer the Survivor pool to go from I know who I'm going to pick against on Thanksgiving. I know who I'm going to pick against on Christmas because those are weeks that are interlaced into the regular season, and just kind of have to eliminate those teams from the equation. So the Chiefs are out. The Eagles are out. A number of teams that I picked down the road are in. I go with maybe mid-tier teams who are playing teams that I think are going to stink. I love Arizona this weekend, even though they're going on the road. New Orleans always has a way, though, of kind of playing a little funky in the first game. You think they're going to have a great year, they lay an egg. You think they're going to stink, they blow up. But I'm going to go ahead and go with the Cardinals in Survivor this week, mainly because I'm a Spencer Rattler hater, have been since 2022-ish, and I will die on that hill.
Well, you might die. You might look like a genius. So you might want Arizona later on too, and that's the tough thing about this. So you use Arizona, and then they win, and then later on you need somebody. You're like, gosh, I could have, would have, should have. Survivor is literally the last thing for me, the list of priorities on how I spend my time. I don't even play fantasy. I get asked to play fantasy leagues and stuff. I won't even, not 1 minute would go to that. Although now with the players prop stuff, I could probably put together a pretty good lineup, but I don't want to muddy the waters. So, but of the priority list where I spend my time, it's obviously college football, NFL, and then the other little things. And then when we get down to contests, it's this college contest because I am very, very good at college football over the last 30 years.
That's the bread and butter, man.
More years than not. It's why I'm in this business. So more years than not, that is exactly why. So I spent a lot of time in college football, and frankly, it requires a little more time. And the NFL comes a little more natural to me now in the state of college football, how hard college football is for most people. The NFL's been good, really, really good the last few years. So, and then the NFL, we get past that, we get all this stuff. We get the contest, it's college, and then it's the Survivor, the circa, millionaire maker, whatever they call that. So the very last thing would be the Survivor. It'd be the very last thing. So, I go about it. I'm trying to find the worst team that I can find that I know is going to be pretty bad. When is Cleveland going to win? So I start there. When is Cleveland going to win a game? And I try to play them because I think they're bad. New Orleans will be another one. When can I find? So I X those out. I probably should do more of what you're doing, but we're basically going to get to the same place through a month.
Sure.
You've got, you're getting rid. You're leaving out the teams that have new head coaches and new rookie quarterbacks because historically those two components have never won the Super Bowl, so try to get rid of them early enough if you're going to have to play them. And then leave the teams that in the NFL typically over the last couple of years have been really good. So we're going to try to get to the same spot. I have not figured out as a taping of this show who I'm going to use this week, so I won't throw anybody out. You're going to use Arizona? All right, good.
I'm going to use Arizona. I almost went Pittsburgh, but I feel like they're going to be good this year, and I have a chance to maybe use them in a spot later against a better team in a week when I don't necessarily need them. Two teams, though, who are historically bad, who play each other this week, Carolina and Jacksonville. Going out on a limb, not many people are going to be backing either one of those teams in Survivor.
Yeah, if you could figure out, it'd be a good idea if you could figure out which of those teams would win.
Yeah, and because you're probably not going to be able to use them very much down the road because again, I don't think either one of those teams are going to be all that great. And honestly, that is one of the only games this weekend where I think both teams are pretty bad. It's like good team, and then good team, bad team. There's only one matchup this weekend where it's bad team, bad team.
Yeah, preseason, the rankings for who was favored over other teams last year, the Patriots were not favored over any teams.
Yeah, I think 0-17. They were underdog.
They were underdog. This year, they are predicted to be a favorite in, I want to say, 11 games. What is it?
And stability at quarterback, a proven head coach. I think that's it is a wild jump though to go from 0 to 11.
Yeah, so they are supposed to be favored 11 different times. I think my point here is they're only a 2.5 point favorite over the Raiders this week. And the Raiders, they're a team that should be better. Pete Carroll's got, we talk about culture in college football, but he is very well liked there. And the word from Las Vegas players and stuff is they were lost last year. There is a rejuvenation. This is a team that should be better. And they play very similar style. Just knowing what we know, they play very similar style what the Patriots do. They're not a fun and gun. They're not going to try to score 50. They run it on first down.
Lean on their defense, which, I mean, Max Crosby, if not for a TJ Watt, might be a Defensive Player of the Year nominee.
So if you had to go under in one of these spots, or you had to go underdog in one of these spots where you were looking at that, the Raiders not the worst underdog spot in the league. I think the Patriots will be better. But I don't know that. I don't know if they're going to.
I think the Raiders will be too. So
yeah, exactly. I think you're getting a little bit of a spot there. The other one that's similar to that, kind of a head scratcher line wise, are the Niners versus Seattle. Seattle's got a ton of new components, new people and stuff, and Niners only a 2.5 point favorite there. So just a couple that jump out. But you're right. A lot of these you're going to have to earn. The NFL. Let's just not wait to get to the games to figure out exactly how difficult the NFL is. We'll look at the end of this noon Central block. And of the games being played, there will be 3 or 4 at least that we're waiting on what happens the last drive. Somebody's on the 5 trying to throw it in. Somebody's trying to – it's not like college you're going to get – I didn't have to watch – most of our wins I didn't even need to watch. Army flew over. UNLV flew over. Auburn won easily against Baylor. Texas was under. No points the entire game. In game there was 27 a lot of the game. Florida State's getting 14. They're winning the entire game.
They led the whole way, yeah.
That's not the NFL. NFL, you're going to have to earn some. Those games are a lot of times, those close games are what send people over the edge and end up having to make horrible decisions later in the day. Don't be that guy, all right? If you're not going to go to FatJackSports.com, don't be the guy that loses a bad beat on the noon Central game and then decides to triple up on the 3 Central game. That's horrible. That's how you lose money. All right? They're all created the equal if you know what you're doing and you're okay. Absorb bad losses. Don't overvalue wins that are lucky. Acknowledge those things at least to yourself. Have a schedule that says this was a lucky win. This was an unlucky loss. These were quality wins. This was a bad beat loss, or this was a bad loss. Be okay analyzing your handicapping so you'll know that you're either better than you need to be to win money, or you're not as good as you need to be to win money. So FatJackSports.com, if you don't want to have to do any of that, we'll do all that for you. You're with somebody that's been winning for 30 years. You're paying less than $100 a week. You're just watching the games and eating hot dogs and watching your balance grow. So that's what I would suggest you do. What's the most intriguing game besides, let's not talk Thursday night because this show runs after, or Thursday night's not that intriguing anyway. So,
I mean, Cowboys, Eagles. I mean, you get to see the dysfunction of the Cowboys playing against their one of their rivals who raises a banner. So yeah, there's not a ton of intrigue there, but no, there are some very interesting games. Sunday night, Baltimore Buffalo is going to be appointment watching. Although Detroit Green Bay, I have a feeling is going to be very good as well. But yeah, for me, those are the two big games on Sunday. I mean, you get Baltimore in Buffalo. Buffalo was on Hard Knocks this year, and it always seems like the team that's on Hard Knocks gets a little bit of a bump. But historically, if you're on Hard Knocks, you're not a good team. So they changed who can be on it. Buffalo probably not getting that bump this year, but a reigning MVP, at home on Sunday night. It's their final year in their stadium. The new stadium opens next season, so there's going to be all the nostalgia, and they're going to try and drum up all of this, all of these feelings to try and invigorate that crowd, which A, doesn't need a boost, and B, doesn't win you games. So it'll be an intriguing watch, but Lamar against Josh Allen is appointment viewing for me.
So Buffalo 1.5 favorite, so almost a pick 'em there. Total's 50.5. Number really hasn't moved a whole lot. You're getting a little more money right now on Buffalo than you are Baltimore. I will tell you what Hard Knocks does. Did you watch Hard Knocks this year?
I would watch the first 2 episodes before we started recording today, and I'll have it knocked out before the season starts.
So I got a report from a couple different people, and they did not like it as much this year. And I said, why? They said, well, there weren't as many good storylines because they're a good team. They were holding things closer to the vest. You didn't get to see as much. These are educated football people. Actually, one was my son who played in college. He just didn't love that part of it. But I will tell you, it's good for the programs because his wife now, they live in New York. The only thing she wants to do is go to a Buffalo game.
Okay, so she got sold on the whole Bills Mafia thing.
She wants to do Bills Mafia. She wants to jump through a table, which is
we've lost one to the dark side.
We've lost one to the dark side. Exactly. I said, well, let's plan something earlier in the year. We don't want to be hitting Buffalo.
You don't want lake effect tailgating.
Yeah, she's not. She weighs 80 pounds soaking wet. She's not going to survive that. Although it would help her fall if she decides to dive into a table. So. But she wants to go experience that, so it's good for that. But from a watchable standpoint, I don't know that it was as good. Which I want the better team in anything they're doing. But when you get the bad teams, you're getting a lot more variance, not only in roster but storylines, because they've got guys that are trying to hold on. And those sides, Buffalo's not going to have a ton of dudes holding on, because if you're playing for Buffalo, you are good. And you're one of the better in the league. Baltimore 5-1 against the spread their last 6, so they ended the year covering the number. Totals going over in Bills games, or excuse me, in Ravens games a lot over the last year or so, scoring a bunch of points. Lamar Jackson, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, has not gotten the credit of what he's done with his legs. I mean, he is, I want to say, under 200 yards fewer rushing than Christian McCaffrey. So if you said who has more yards, Christian McCaffrey or Lamar Jackson, McCaffrey's minus 200, and you had to place a bet. A lot of people still take McCaffrey. He's been in the league a year longer. He's been hurt more, but he's a running back. He's the running back for whatever team he's on. Lamar Jackson has just a couple hundred yards less rushing in 1 fewer years than does McCaffrey. That is a really impressive stat. And, by the way, he's figured out how to throw the ball where he's aimed a lot more often than he was early in his career.
And they've made some upgrades in their receiving core. I mean, they still have one of the premier tight ends in Mark Andrews, and Zay Flowers is a receiver who's coming along. Rashad Bateman is improving. So yeah, adding another layer of weaponry to a pretty potent and underappreciated quarterback makes Baltimore pretty dangerous.
They've gone over 9 of their 11 last 9. They're 9-2 to the over their last 11 road games. Buffalo's gone under 4 of their last 5 games in the series. So it's one of those, what are we going to try to get done? Buffalo is historically closer to the vest. Don't throw the ball away. Don't turn the ball over, especially at home against good teams. Think playoff football, that's what this is. So look for a slower, more methodical path from Buffalo. Baltimore, I think they're really jumping into who they are. And that is, we can outscore people with our dynamic playmakers and with the best player in a lot of people's minds year in and year out in the league, which is Lamar Jackson. I understand he doesn't win it every year, but he's up there. So you've got kind of a battle of styles. A little bit is going to be how good is Baltimore at moving the ball against Buffalo, because Buffalo's defense is not. They've shown some cracks at times, and they should be healthy. They should be better, but stopping Baltimore consistently is really difficult. So that's going to be an interesting game from a watchability standpoint. I don't know that I would be throwing my last dollar, which is going to be the inclination of a lot of gamblers out there if they have a bad weekend, if they have anything like they just had. Some of them right now are thinking, I'm going to have to stop here pretty quick. I can't gamble a lot if September. And that's a sad, sad thought. My clients are like, hey, yeah, we had Penn State, but we're doing great. No problem there. We're making a lot of money. We won a bunch of money last week. As I said, the Saturday before in week 0, if you got all the plays, you were 13-2. So this is a start where my guys, they can't even see even. They are way up on the year. If you were in before that, we won the NFL preseason turn to profit. As I said, UFC's been incredible. Soccer got off to a great start. We're building profit. We left even in a rearview mirror heading into week 1 of the NFL season. It would take the rest of the month of bad plays to even get close to even, which is not going to happen. FatJackSports.com. Join us now while we're riding this wave up and get signed up and start winning. College, you want to take a break? You want to go to college football for a second?
Let's talk a little college. As great as week 1 was with like big name matchups, week 2 kind of falls off a cliff because I think the NFL does take a little bit of center stage, and we start getting into the matchups where you have really good teams playing directional schools. Aside from Michigan, Oklahoma, which is nationally televised, game days come to Norman, there really aren't a ton of really good marquee matchups in college football. There are some intriguing ones. You got Iowa, Iowa State, Baylor, SMU is going to be interesting to watch. And then to see a team like Army versus K-State. Army loses at home in overtime to an FCS school against K-State, who had to get a touchdown late to avoid an upset to an FCS school. It's almost panic button time for a couple of those programs. But this college football slate a little bit underwhelming compared to week 1.
So stupid to play K-State. I even talked about the hangover from going overseas. I've been overseas a million times. That is not easy. They lost the game. It was a home game.
The quarterback's dad got in a fight.
Yeah.
In the parking lot.
Yeah. Afterwards. Yeah. It's so stupid. You know what's sneaky interesting to me? How about Oklahoma State going to Oregon? They can be credited all here. I'm excited for that. I want to see, and this is not I want Oklahoma State to lose by 1,000. Because I don't care either way. They don't take trips like that. They don't play games like that, and they are not in a position win-loss wise to take a trip like that. I mean,
especially after their starting quarterback.
Remember the Bills Mafia just rolled in to the scene. So if she would load up on, she needs 5 layers, and she's going to be diving through tables. But she is definitely the newest member and needs to go before it gets really cold. So,
Oklahoma State loses their starting quarterback in week 1. Now they got to go on the road to play a team who was in the playoff last year with a backup quarterback.
So their athletic director's not doing them any favors. I mean, that's because this is it's a big check and they need checks. But all that's going on with Mike Gundy, them not winning, them having trouble with NIL, all those type of things. Now they're going to Oregon. Do Cowboy fans care if they lose 58-3? I mean, they're having trouble scoring, or 62-3, something really 28 points.
Brandon, a lot to not a lot. How are they going to feel?
We talk about directional games. That line, I mean, that's a directional line, right? I mean, it's not in the 40s, but it's way up there. I mean, that's a comparable. Akron's going to Nebraska. Akron's a 34-point underdog. Georgia Southern going to USC. USC is a 27.5-point favorite. Oklahoma State's a 28-point underdog. So I'm just curious if you're OSU fan, what does that look like? Now, if they go up and play well, it's an opportunity. It always is.
Absolutely.
You go up and play well and show that you've kind of tied to the boat. I mean, the Big 12, if they go up and even play this thing within a touchdown, I think the Big 12 should be like, okay, we might
need to pay attention to Oklahoma State.
Mark them off because this is a tough place to play, a tough environment, tough all those things. But
it's not Autzen Stadium is not Eugene, Oregon, not an easy place to get to. You got to fly into, unless you have a direct charter, you got to fly into Portland and then drive a little bit. And while scenic, not exactly an easy place to get to.
And we talk about momentum games. That's what this is. Week 2, that was kind of my point to begin with, is that, week 1's always about we're going to have 5 or 6. Let's kick off the season, similar to what we're getting the NFL this week. And then from a gambling standpoint, it's overreaction time. What did we see last week that we can we know it's not going to continue at that level or that rate, and how can we take advantage of that? Or what did we see that we know is going to continue to be good and or bad? That'll be next week in the NFL. But in college football, it's kind of a reset. So these teams, they're not in mid-season shape yet.
Right.
And so they need a game where they can rest some players. It makes it harder to make money than it will be in 3, 4, 5, the weeks coming up, because you don't know. This is the week that they'll rest people. Last week, Penn State on down, they're playing starters later because they want a rhythm and reps and all those things. Now it's about attrition. So it's like, okay, everybody's got some bruises.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's banged up a tiny bit. So how long do we need to play these dudes before, as a 28-point favorite, Oklahoma State, type situation? If you're Oregon, how long, if we're dominating, do we need to play them, and what kind of backdoor does that leave open? From a gaming standpoint, it's a little bit more difficult. And watchability, it's going to be what can we find out about Oklahoma and Michigan? Is Portnoy, the Fox crew, are they coming to Oklahoma also?
That's a fantastic question. I will look that up.
What did you think of that last week before we get into the game? What did you think of Dave Portnoy? Did you watch Fox at all?
I abstain from anything they do pregame, mainly because of Urban Meyer and now Dave Portnoy. I also think Fox has the worst NFL pregame show, so I don't watch any of their pregame stuff.
But you're not biased.
I fully admit my bias.
I turned it over there immediately. I was very interested, and having nothing to do with him being at Ohio State. I think the dude's entertaining. I really do. I there's things I don't like about him, but I think that is why he's so successful. And I was excited to see how he handled the situation, and what he handled it about like I thought he would. Everybody was booing him. He took off a sweatshirt that made him seem like he was going to be normal, and then he wasn't. Couldn't go in the stadium. He was going to be a baby about that. I get all that. I would be too.
The man is a great marketer, but I don't want him on my television.
Well, my son was similar to you. He kept saying, "Why are we watching this?" I said, "Because Portnoy's going to." And I would tell you why I finally gave in on had one TV at the time. I gave in because the other game, or the other crew, I'm with you. I prefer the ESPN guys, and the dude made the field. I love the field goal.
The NFL Network crew, I think, is better.
Yeah, I don't know. They're all kind of a wash for me on Sundays. But Saturday, I lean toward the ESPN group. But anyway, I'm curious if he's coming to Norman, what that looks like.
They are not. They are going to Ames, Iowa, for Iowa State.
Wow.
Iowa.
So big.
That's a culture shift.
So, by the way, the other reason to sign up early, and you still get these. This is another reason to sign up early. When you sign up early, you get look-ahead lines. All right, you get games that before the season started, I liked the line where it was going, where I felt like we were going to be able to bet it early and take advantage of line movements later in the year based on how the teams played.
Mm-hmm.
And our look-ahead game, one of the look-ahead games this week, was Oklahoma, a 2.5-point favorite over Michigan. So my clients, if you signed up when you were supposed to, either in January, February, all the way up until before the season.
Any week before last week.
That's right. You've got 2 of the 4. The other 2 didn't move. All right. 2 of the 4 line, actually 2 of the 5. We got much better lines. The Georgia Tech Colorado total was 55.5. It worked down to 51. So we beat the closing line by 4 points. And the other 2 of them, Nebraska stayed about the same. It was 6.5. It doesn't matter, win or lose is not right. It's just being able to beat the closing line. I mean, we're going to have wins, we're going to have losses. I didn't release the Georgia Tech Colorado total. I didn't release Clemson. But if you're able to get better numbers up front, you're doing the right thing. Oklahoma, 2.5-point favorite this weekend against Michigan. Now it's 6. So you got 3.5 points of line value if you listened to us early and decided to play that. That's good. You haven't been being beat by the closing line yet. Kansas is the other game this weekend that we bet early, and it was +6 or 6.5. They're still sitting at +6. So that one hasn't moved at all. We're beating the closing line on some of these. And if Michigan loses, I suspect we're going to be good on the 20th when they play Nebraska. That's another one of those look-ahead lines. So FatJackSports.com for a ton of reasons, one of which you're getting a bunch of insight to games not only now, not only next week, but all year long that are going to build profit, which, again, is the only reason I'm doing this. I'm not doing this for fun. I don't care how many points are scored in Georgia Tech, Colorado from a watchability standpoint. I just know that is a good spot to probably make some money over the year. So that's where we're going to bet. Go to fatjacksports.com, sign up today, and win this weekend. We take a break?
Yes.
When we get back from the break, we are going to talk about the Oklahoma-Michigan game. We're going to break it down, and we're going to give a free winner, and we're going to break down an NFL game. So both of those, and we're going to give a free winner there. So 2 free winners coming your way. Last week's free winner on, and go to Fat Jack's. We haven't talked about the socials or anything. If you follow me at Fat Jack Sports on any of the social media platforms, you're going to receive at least 1 or 2 free winners most likely every single week. TikTok specifically. Go to TikTok at Fat Jack Sports. I've been releasing TikToks all year long. I'll release a who's going to win the Super Bowl long shot this week, another one, and then free winner for NFL Week 1, free winner for college. If you listened last week, you got Ohio State and the under as your free winner. Yeah,
and on TikTok, Swifty wedding futures.
Swifty Wedding Futures. That's exactly right. We gave that away, so that's it'll get you in the game and not just sports. But free win, and go to the website, sign up for a free winner there. You'll get one of those a week or so, or every week this time of year. So at Fat Jack Sports or fatjacksports.com. Follow us on the socials, especially TikTok and Twitter. You'll get stuff too. I already had to ban somebody there. It took 5 minutes. The bar is really low on the banning, by the way.
Very.
If you say anything at all, I'm probably going to ban you because I just don't. I don't care. I think it's a hater platform. It's a bunch of haters. And if you're going to be a hater of any form, you're probably going to get banned because I don't want to be a part of it. I'm trying to have positive vibes. And it doesn't help, Brand, that while I was banning him, I was literally going to fight somebody in my golf cart who was trying to cut in line getting on a ferry going back to Balboa Island. Long story. We'll save it for another day. But I was out of the cart. He got out. He was getting out of his car. I got out of my cart. He didn't get out of his car once he saw I was out of the golf cart. But we'd waited an hour to get on a ferry. He was just going to cut it in, do the old lane change.
Be like, I'm just going to squeeze in right here.
That
just,
does
if you don't
not
mind.
work with me. It does not work. I'm protecting. This is not Lord of the Flies, Brandon. If I'm waiting an hour to get on a stupid ferry because I'm in a golf cart that I can't go the other way to get on the island, you're not getting in your Nissan Altima from 1994. Not happening. So unbuckle if you're going to do that because something's going to happen. Hopefully it did. Luckily it didn't. Karen wanted to climb in the floorboard. She's like, but I'm protecting the line, Brandon. I mean, he's going to go to the back of the line.
Integrity has to stand somewhere.
Somebody has to care, right? And apparently I'm the only person who cares because
the Fat Jack.
Yeah, exactly.
The only one who cares.
I'm protecting, holding the line. That's a new shirt or a slogan. The Fat Jack, the only one that cares.
That cares.
FatJackSports.com, the only one that cares.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to fatjacksports.com where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. fatjacksports.com.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and now here is our host, ready to kick off the first full weekend of football. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 2 in college football. Number 1 in the NFL, as we've talked about, one of the best times of the year. Again, public service announcements. If you played Texas last week, Alabama last week, Notre Dame last week, and Clemson last week, fatjacksports.com is the only thing you need to be doing this week. You are 100% going to lose money betting on sports this year. You're already down, and that's not going to get a lot better. NFL is much more difficult, so let's not go crazy there. If you're betting on your own, we're going to have a big card, actually, in college and the NFL this week. So great time to get signed up, great time to win. One more thing, a pet peeve about the UCLA Utah game. And if you're watching Fox this weekend, we're talking about banging on Fox right now, I guess. But if you're hating on Fox this weekend or you're watching it, pay attention to the amount of commercials that they are running in that evening slot. At one time, Brandon, I'm pretty sure there were more commercials than there were game time. We started keeping track, but they're hitting you with 3 because you get the stopwatch out there that's on the field.
Right.
And so they'll put that out there, the big thing, and it would say 3.5 minutes. And I promise you, they ran more than a half an hour commercials in the first half of that game. So something to keep an eye on this week on how many commercials. Fox needs to probably charge a little bit more, run a few less if they're going to do that, because that game did not need, you did not want, the only good thing, it was like 72 degrees outside and beautiful, but tough deal. All right.
By the way, did you get the nachos at the Rose Bowl?
We were in, like I said, we were in club level, and they had a buffet that was free, and there were nachos, but it was the cheese sauce, and I've become a nacho snob.
Yeah, same.
I want the melted cheese if it's going to be the cheese sauce most of the time, unless it's really cold. A lot of times, and the other problem is I don't like to eat cold cheese. So cheese sauce gets cold when it's cold out, but I prefer the nachos with cheese sauce when it's cold a little bit. But I got to eat them really fast, otherwise they're going to get cold, and then I don't.
So I saw on Twitter that UCLA football games at the Rose Bowl have a game day loaded nachos that are served in a Rose Bowl car. So when I saw you were at the UCLA game, I was like, oh man, this might be an opportunity. But these things look ridiculous. I mean, they have Al Pastor on them. Like those are nachos. We're not doing chips and dip here.
It's so funny, Brandon. Listen, the West Coast has its things that I don't like, a few, but I will tell you, you can't beat the weather, and the other thing you can't beat are the snack bar foods at every venue. All the way from Little League, I've gone to watch softball, all the way from Little League all the way up to the college stadiums. It's next level. They have Al Pastor tacos on the snack bar at a Little League stadium. They have tamales. They've got, I mean, just all great stuff. Sloppy Joes. I mean, everybody's got sloppy. I mean, it's just really good food. And homemade soup sometimes. You get homemade soup. Somebody's back there making soups, and you got chicken and dumplings at the Little League part. All the way up to that stuff. There's everything. Homemade chocolate chip cookies. Everything that's a fair deal. All of the more popular things, they've all bellied up to the Rose Bowl and to the Coliseum, and they're serving it out there. So their game day foods are next level. Next time I go, we're going to go again. It was actually a lot of fun, and it's great weather. And there's good seats still remaining, so you have to pay a lot.
I went out there for OU, UCLA, I want to say 2019, and I was stunned that stadium was only like 50% full. Granted, it's a 100,000 seat stadium.
That's the deal. Everybody has something else. It's so funny to watch, especially on like a college football Saturday, and you watch what's happening in Knoxville or Norman, Oklahoma, or Tuscaloosa, or those type places. And
Ann Arbor, yeah.
And then you go out there, and I mean, if you took away, they had like a cheer. We're going to get to 2 free winners. How much time do we have?
We have all the time we need.
All right, perfect. So they have 2 free. They were having a cheerleading competition, or not competition, but whatever, where high school and middle school cheerleaders went out and did a routine at halftime. There were probably 400 of those. So many. I mean, a whole section. And I told my son said, if you take away the cheerleaders doing the exhibition at halftime, their parents and grandparents and the Utah fans. you got about 3,000 people. It was a high school. It was a 4A high school game or 3A high school game in a normal state, not even Texas. I mean, just nobody in a stadium of 100,000 plus, but a beautiful setting. You know, everything in California.
Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
Dodger Stadium, unbelievably gorgeous. You're in the mountains, looking at the mountains in the city. It's an amazing venue. USC, you need to run zigzag because you may get shot. But once you're in the stadium,
like you're running away from an alligator.
You run away from an alligator. Hope that whoever's shooting at you cannot shoot. He's not a good shot.
Shoots like a stormtrooper. Can't hit a target.
Holds it sideways. Yeah, a stormtrooper. Or holds it double sideways, and he's trying to gun you down. So you run zigzag there. That's the only problem there. UCLA, you're parking.
On a golf course.
General parking is on a golf course. We were on the 7th hole.
One of the nicer golf courses around too.
So ridiculous.
I've played. I have parked on better golf courses than I have played on. How's that?
I almost walked through into the net of the driving range. It was dark, and I was literally inches away from a full face plant into the driving range net because it was dark, and we had left after the game. But yeah, it's really that you're in basically Nichols Hills or Highland Park or whatever the really nice neighborhood in your town is. You drive in through these huge mansions on these cliffs, and then you're in this valley overlooking the mountains, parking on a golf course. I mean, it's surreal and great seats. So we'll definitely go back, and I'll try the nachos next time. All right, Michigan, Oklahoma.
Yep.
Oklahoma up to a 6-point favorite. What's that based on? Is that based on Michigan's a little bit of struggle offensively against an inferior opponent? Is it based on Oklahoma eventually, I guess, getting it going enough, even though they didn't cover against a bad opponent? What? Why is this number? Why did this number move up? People
Move
just
4.5, 3.5, 4 points. Yeah, I
Mateer,
would have to
it's gonna be
think
Mateer?
that plus, like I said, Michigan didn't look all that great against New Mexico last week. A true freshman quarterback who got paid $1 million to go to Ann Arbor. I think because and it'll be the 162nd straight sellout in Norman. I think it's more of a realization that, okay, Michigan did not look great offensively week one. They're going on a road in a historically tougher place to play. It's not the toughest, but I think how good Oklahoma looked offensively in week one and how ineffective and inconsistent Michigan looked offensively in week one.
So the Michigan fans will tell you, hey, what about the fact that we might not want to be showing anything against a team we knew we were going to beat?
Hey, we beat the national champion last year. Like
Exactly.
we're Michigan.
And also, if you're an Oklahoma fan, do you not pay attention at all to early in the game? I guess you kicked the rust off early in that game because what I saw were a couple of turnovers.
Yeah.
Mateer got better. The final score was comfortable if you're an OU fan. I didn't see a team that I would want to put up. I watched Alabama, Florida State. You want to put up Oklahoma against Alabama, Florida State this week? I mean, I think they got as good of a name brand to come in as they're ready for. Anybody else I don't want LSU. They're a big underdog. Clemson, they're an underdog. Anybody that is
of Michigan's caliber
has their crap together.
Yep.
Let's just put it that way. Any other marquee team, all the teams you watch this week that were playing other good teams, Texas, Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, even Florida State with how they looked against Alabama, those type teams. Michigan would be the one that you would say, okay, you know what? I'm not as worried because of the things we're talking about. Didn't play great last year, although they did beat Ohio State. Getting into their own with the new coaching staff. Now they got a freshman quarterback. Nobody really knows about that. Arch Manning struggled. We saw that. Newness is real when you go on the road. But I don't know that I saw enough out of Oklahoma to say, yeah, you know what? It goes for 2.5 to 6. Sign me up. I mean, they may win by 3 touchdowns, but they may also lose. I mean, I don't think this is and it will not be
a cakewalk.
It will not be a release. I'll tell you right now, if you're an OU fan or you're a Michigan fan and you are you want winning.
And you're sitting around waiting on bated breath for Fat Jack to weigh in on this game. Here's the weigh-in.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to you right now for free. I will never release this game. There's a bunch of games that I feel like I know what's going to happen. I saw enough. I know enough. I know where people are weak or strong. They're playing other teams that are weak or strong. We're going to make a lot of money this week, but this is not one of them. Oklahoma did not look great to me in the first half of that game, and Michigan is going to prove that you proved the most from week 1 to week 2. Michigan 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games, 4-1 straight up. They're 12-3 straight up their last 15 on the road. This is not a team that goes on the road and loses very much. This is Michigan. These have much better players than you just saw in Norman last week. Over has been the name of the game when they play a Southeastern Conference team. So they have to score more than they do. So if Mateer is improving like he looked like he was during week 1 and they're able to score a bunch of points, Michigan will normally follow suit if they have to. Over 14-5 their last 19 against the Southeastern Conference. It's Michigan. Oklahoma, a different looking tail of the tape until you get to them at home. 1-4 against the spread their last 5 games. They're not covering a lot. Brent Venables is absolutely, and I'll tell you this we never discussed lines or anything back when we were playing Bunko together back in the day when the kids were little, but I promise you Brent doesn't give a rip about covering numbers. It's not important to him, never has been. And as long as there's not gambling Oklahoma, more times than not, it's not going to come up organically at dinner conversation with any of his friends. Because you can't even do it legally in Oklahoma. So that's not a thing. If they're up 3 or whatever, or 4, they're going to play it close or whatever. The back door will be left open to a team trying to score. If they're up 11, Michigan's got the ball. That's the thing. 1-4 the last 5 against 3. Now, he does care about winning. He gave $1 million of NIL money. That is all about him losing sleep at night. Brent's not sleeping. I guarantee he's not sleeping because he does not like losing. And this is an important year. He knows not only for – he's got daughters in high school. He's got, he's stable. He doesn't like moving a lot. That's why he was at Clemson forever. So gave away the money to NIL to be better, to win more games, not only for him, but for you guys out there. If you're from Oklahoma listening to this, 3-6 straight up their last 9 games, winning 33% of their last 9 games. So people want to forget about this. The only good number 13-2 straight up their last 15 at home. The other thing is his defense, since he's been there, has been Brent Venables' defense. Under 5-1 again in the last 6 against Big Ten opponents. So lots of reasons to believe Oklahoma is going to play good defense against a freshman quarterback, probably force some turnovers. That would lead toward them. But Michigan, I don't know exactly what you're going to get in Norman. And frankly, from Michigan's or Oklahoma's offense side, I don't know how much success we should be prepared for just yet. I think Mateer looks better. For sure, they're going to get better offensively, but how quickly that happens, there's better spots. FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today and win this weekend. How about an NFL? When you want to give away an NFL free winner? The free winner there is going to be under the total in the Oklahoma-Michigan game. I don't know who's going to win, but under. I do think they're going to want to make mistakes. Michigan's not going to. They're going to try to play it close to the vest. I think that Michigan's defense will be sufficient for most of the game to. You're going to have to long drives, don't make mistakes, those type things. And I think it'll be one of those, like we saw out of Ohio State, Texas last week. Don't make mistakes. Don't turn the ball.
A 17-13 type game, and whoever has the ball last is going to have a chance probably.
Is anybody going to be surprised? I know you fans would be surprised because we're used to the Lincoln Riley fun and gun, whatever. But are you going to be surprised if it's 17-13 late in the game and you look over and Brent Venables on the sidelines with his hands on his knees? I mean, he is a defensive-minded coach. This is a defensive-minded team, whether people want it or not. They are not going to take chances and dig themselves a hole and have to come back. This is not Lincoln Riley. And so I think the better the opponent, the more times Oklahoma games are going to look under until further notice. Because when in doubt, go to what you know. He knows. Think Clemson for years and years. Think Oklahoma before it's defense first. So, all right, first free winner in the NFL. New England versus the Raiders. Let's look at that. Actually, let's look at Tampa Bay, Atlanta. You talked about that earlier for your Survivor.
Yep.
I don't love the fact that they're only a 2.5 point favorite.
2.5 point favorite. Yeah, that's scary for it. And the thing is, they're divisional teams, so they see each other twice a year. There's no secrets because they return pretty much everybody in the key positions.
Because I like Tampa this year. I think they're going to be good. I think they're healthy.
I think Atlanta's going to be better too.
And I think Atlanta is figuring things out still from the head coach on down. I think he's going to be good, but I think it's going to take a little bit. Tampa 1-5 against the spread their last 6 against Atlanta. Tampa 1-4 straight up their last 5. Atlanta 1-6-1 against the spread their last 8 games. I mean, these two teams have not produced either in general or against their opponent.
Allergic to covering.
So I'm going to lean toward Tampa here in a close one. I do think Tampa could lose the game and still be okay, but I would not be that happy. I think Tampa's probably going to throw the ball down the field, make Atlanta try to score a bunch over 4 of the last 5 in the series. So most games going over when these two teams match up. That favors, to me, Tampa in a higher scoring game. So give me the Bucks minus the 2.5 on the road as a free winner. It's your first and second free winner of the day of the week. Again, for more free winners, go to @FatJackSports, specifically at TikTok, but actually all the platforms, Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter, all those. And follow us. You'll get free winners there as well. How we doing, Brandon? Any final thoughts?
We should get out of here. Yeah, we've done a lot. If you want, if you feel that you didn't get enough of this show, you can watch us on YouTube. You can get the full show unedited, all the fun.
Yeah, and not a lot of great story. I will tell next week. I'll tell may tell more about the
dust up at the ferry.
Yeah, the dust up at the ferry. There were 2 dust ups actually. One against about a 75-year-old dude. He wanted no smoke. He once I told him you can't cut, he kept going. The other guy, buckled a seatbelt like he was going to do something about it. I mean, I'm in a golf cart. What am I going to do? Karen said, are you going to fight him? I said, what's the other option?
Peace was never a choice.
Austin Powers pivot 97 times out of this line in a red golf cart and zoom off down the street going 18 miles an hour. I can't live. If he does kill me, I can't show up in heaven like that. Everybody laughing at me. I'll be like, oh, Fat Jack. He's a big mouth on him. The minute the metal met the rubber, got shot in the back by a dude because he was going 18 miles an hour
in a golf cart.
in a golf cart. That's
not a commendable way to go.
Not going out that way. So yeah, luckily, cooler heads prevailed. Hour and a half later, we got home. So, all right, guys, have a great week. Enjoy the games. Don't drink and drive. Wager responsibly. Until then, get signed up. FatJackSports.com. Going to be another great week. Until next week, for Brandon the Fat Jack, this has been the Fat Jack Sports Hour.